Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Morning, Dubs. CC. Happy Friday. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. You currently can't tell me anything. Pacers are winning 1-0 in the NBA Finals. Tyrese Halliburton. Yes. If you've seen my latest, you kind of get where my head's at. I kind of woke up this morning and think it's a ruse. What Elon disclosed as a result of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's fight on social media yesterday is not something we don't already know. Now, I do want to point this out. Somebody sent me a piece of content. I can't remember if it was on TikTok or in the Discord, but somebody sent me a piece of content where somebody was like, it's a ruse. He's not being specific with information. If he had specific evidence, he'd be specific. Um, I also want to point out, uh, Elon at one point was revered as like the smartest man in the world. So I kind of think he has like the basic shit covered. And also, I think when he says Democrats would control the House and Republicans would only control the Senate 51-49, I kind of feel like that is being specific. And again, questions into the results of the 2024 US election have been happening. It's just a lawsuit's been filed in Rockland, New York. Okay. And from here's what I understand. In Rockland, New York, a small subset of voters, about 30% black, and 0 votes in that district for Kamala Harris. What are the odds of that? Infinitesimal. Yes, the odds are very poor that every person of color in Rockland, New York chose not to vote and or all voted for Donald Trump. Nope. So I want to make sure I put that up here and say here is him being awfully specific. Trump would have lost the election, Dems would control the House, and Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. That's oddly specific. And he also deleted that. I just want to point that out. I just want to point that out. He also deleted this. That this message that I just posted with the he replied to himself. You know you're going off the fucking deep end when you start replying to yourself on social media. You know what I mean? I've only ever done it a couple times and I've really been like, wow, Jared, you need to really talk to somebody, you know? If you want to find me elsewhere, you can. I wouldn't. I'm not that guy. Okay. Oh, and every morning we start our show. I forgot. A little bit of war, right? A little bit of war up front, a little bit of eat the rich in the end. One of the nuances of this show, good morning, Crush. One of the nuances of this show is we don't I'm not sitting behind a banner playing the opening song while y'all sit there and twiddle your thumbs and wait for the show to start. I ain't that kind of showman. I'm get in and get going. I could listen to the song while I talk. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, what I'm looking for today, okay, a lot of, hey, just so you know, a lot of shows that you've ever watched in your life, raise his hand. When the show starts, when you ever watch a streamer, right? When a streamer starts, I have it here. I have a screen that you just put up and you can talk into your microphone, but they can't see your face. And people also have like opening music and closing music and different screens. I'm not a hater. I went to school for this shit. Okay. But this is a show that has a set start and we try to finish at a set time. So in my eyes, I could follow and I could do what other people do. I could spend the first 5 minutes of the show sitting behind a banner, yapping while a song plays, doing the same shit I'm doing right now. But what is that's like cutting into your show, right? Get rid of that graphic. You just stare at my fucking ugly mug. We'll just talk. It just, it's like the show goes. It moves. They're not sitting still. Okay, 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 okay. I'm not nervous. I don't have anything to be nervous about. I'm not doing any of this shit. We're just talking about it, right? So Elon Musk, I think he was pretty specific yesterday when he said that if it weren't for him, Kamala Harris would be president. Thank the fuck God. Democrats would control the House, and Republicans would only have a 51-49 Senate. Now, I want to point out that still fucking sucks dick. Fuck. Why? Because basically that would just mean Republicans can stonewall anything kind of come our way. Okay. Now, I do think this was rigged, and here's where my head's at. Okay. It's like a setup. Donald Trump's talking about canceling the EV rebate, right? Or the EV mandate, right? And he said, why don't we? I know how we could save the government billions of dollars. We'll just cut your contracts. I'm surprised Joe Biden didn't do that. Okay. So when I see these two fighting, I'm just going through my thought process regarding this. Okay. First of all, I need more of this in my life. Like, yes, I'm for this drama, but I can also see through the ruse because Elon didn't disclose anything I didn't already know. Donald Trump didn't actually, he didn't say anything I don't already know. I do know that we do pay him billions of dollars in contracts and we could cut all those. I know that. I just need him to do it. That's where my head's at. Trump always chickens out though. So that's the rub. Is that Donald Trump's not going to cancel his contracts. Okay. I don't think Elon Musk has anything on Don that we don't already know. We already know he's Krasnov. We know he's a Russian asset. We know um, Elon Musk paid like $250 million to put him in office. Broke all kinds of campaign laws and just said, fuck it, jam it. right? Like, again, I mean, he did. Kara, I get what you're saying, but he kind of did. If it wasn't for me, Donald Trump doesn't win this election, and then tells you it's oddly specific in in the House and Senate. That's oddly specific to say the Democrats would control the House, Republicans would only have a 51-49 in the Senate. For him to be that specific is a confession. It's just he's dumb. Yeah. So this is the yeah. Again, what I would be wary of is people lashing out. Think about it. Mommy and daddy are fighting, right? Alonia, and what'd we say? Pussy Throat and Lashif, but we called him something else, right? Steve Bannon's calling to deport Elon Musk and cancel his contracts. Yeah. Remember, here's the thing about narcissists. Okay, you can't have two of them in a room. You get it? Their egos are going to clash. Mhm. Obviously, the anti-immigrant, like, sort of mentality of the right is gonna lead. It's gonna lead to Elon Musk getting deported. Mhm. Well, I think that. I mean, think about this. Joe Biden appointed 235 federal judges, lifetime appointments. Yeah, too much of a reflection in the mirror to him. Yeah. Yep. They've got a very tumultuous relationship where at one point, you see it as father son, you see it as lovers, you see them as friends. Now they're enemies. They were business partners. You know, it's ugly. It's gonna be ugly. I'm hoping that there's more, right? One of the things that I want to do with my content is goad more out of them. Yep. And I think again, if you recall, one of the early conversations we had on the show when someone was like, well, if you're a socialist, how do you feel about democracy? And I had said, democracy is only as good as it holds, right? Your laws and rules are only as good as long as you enforce them. And a lot of it, from what we see, it's like a lot of picking and choosing what we enforce, right? And I don't like this justice system that picks and chooses, right? I want one that's just. But I will confess, federal court's actually kind of wearing his ass out, actually, and I think democracy is actually pretty strong. I get it. He's a terrible fucking person. Melania signing fucking executive orders and shit, but he's not a king. and you can't rule by fiat. You can't just rule by executive order and presidential order. None of those hundreds and hundreds of executive orders and presidential orders are enforceable. All of the money and all the firings, not enforceable. He doesn't have that power. Now, what he's doing is very unfortunate for the future, okay? Is he's set a precedent. And now there is modern legal precedent, and that's the problem with being fucking stupid, is that everybody is all up in arms about Project 2025. Okay? And I keep this in mind. I'm because of Purdue University, not um or because of Purdue University denying people freedom of speech. And I need a school to go to get a political science degree, to take the LSAT, to become a lawyer, right? Because when I read things like Project 2025 and I think about, is this legal? Most of Project 2025, they can't make that happen. It's illegal. And so far, I've been right. And we're most of the way through Project 2025, so I don't want to hear any shit. It's not like it's invisible ink, and as we get closer to the date, the no, we've had the whole of Project 2025 in our hand this whole time. And if you read that shit and you have an IQ of, I don't know, 40, you're probably like, wait, they told you what they were going to do before you did it. Yep. Wrote it down in a book and everything. Okay. Okay. And you had all of this ahead of time. Yes. What did you do? We just packed the courts and said, this is what the people voted for. People are going to struggle. Ultimately, all of this shit's like illegal. So you just, I mean, and think about it. Their thought process is, if we just put enough pressure on the court system, it'll break. That's not how it works. I just hate to be that guy. That's not how it works. They're not on a boat. And it's certainly not wooden. And there's way too much like allegory it's like stupid people are in charge, and so your entire premise is based on a blogger that lives in his fucking mom's basement, Curtis Yarvin, and Steve Bannon. Like these are the fucking heads of the snake. And JD Vance and Peter Thiel and David Sachs and Elon Musk, the money. Also, white immigrants. And again, I want to point out that the entire foundation of the Republican Party and a lot of what is going on in the world is racism and sexism. Just to get it the fuck out of the way. One of the things that I have to acknowledge as a fucking cis white male, and it gives a step worse, ladies. I'm a cis white male married to a pretty blonde, blue-eyed white girl, right? I'm part of the problem. Specifically does not target Project 2025 does not target me. Okay. Now, are they suppressing the fuck out of my content? Yes. How the fuck do I have I have over 17,000 followers on TikTok and my videos don't even get 1,000 views anymore? How does that work? 10% of my followers aren't seeing my content. I'm being suppressed the fuck out of. This is what happens when you dare dance uh with the feds who have their hand up Mark Zuckerberg's ass. Y'all gotta understand, I have a degree in social media, and Facebook and Twitter were hostile to me. So TikTok is hostile to me. Hmm? Think about how I sit here and tell you that I'm a socialist. I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. I'm pro DEI, pro union. In fact, I joined a union, right? My ideologies are harmful because I threaten the pocketbook of your CEOs. Join a union. Protest, boycott, and strike. Today is the D-Day protest. Do what they told you. They told you. Do what they told you. If you're in DC, there's a May Day movement, 90 straight days of protest. We said when we got rolling here that, Americans won't protest every day, and that's why this shit will never work. And you know what? You know what? They're protesting every day since May 1st for 90 days. Yeah, you better believe it. While we're at it, not everybody can get to DC, right? And so there's 5050.1. Okay. Hey, a lot of people don't like 5050.1, and I don't see it. I don't get it. So there's Indivisible. And when I go on 5050.1, it requires just a little bit of ability to use the internet, right? It says June 6th, 50501 veterans, right? March in DC. So there's a march in DC today for veterans. D-Day, June 6th. Okay. And then it says learn more, find a local event, search for more events. And then it takes you to a new website. And so I want to make sure when I find new stuff that I share it with you. And I say, hey, this actually takes you to a new site. Uh, events.poll-rev.com. Okay. I'm gonna type it out. Events.poll-rev.com. Search. Okay. Okay. And so when I go there and I click on June 6th, it expand the range, and there is Indiana 50501 Veteran and Citizens Rally, defend the Constitution, peaceful protest, where we protest. Okay. And then Indiana, okay, Indiana's got a website. And pleasing to me, it's very simple. Okay. You tell me. Do what you tell me. Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. And I'm on an Indivisible's website now. Okay. And Indivisible is protesting today at the State House too. Okay. There's also, I see Muncie, Indiana. Coffee this morning. I like it. I like it. Okay. Mm. It's one of my favorite songs, y'all. Like ever. Audio Slave, like a stone. Because here's the thing about all this. You know how I know it's a ruse? This is not news. Elon Musk saying Donald Trump's in the Epstein files, we know that shit. And I want to point out, I want a supercut of Donald Trump talking about the election being rigged, and then Elon Musk posting, if not for me, he loses. It's like they've outed themselves. You see what happens when stupid people with big egos get in the same fucking room? They cannot keep themselves. Yeah. Stone, I'll wait for you. Locomotive Breath by Jethro Tull. Hell yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you really think who did the most damage to this bill, right? It's got to be Elon Musk with his massive platform telling people to call their senators. Hey, I don't mean to like surprise anyone, but when you've got like a fuckload of followers and you I don't know own an entire fucking social media platform and you're putting out into the ether, call your senators, tell them to veto this bill. Um, Not only is it organized chaos, I'm calling this. This is all a ruse, part of a plan. If ever there were a more telegraphed, right? Like this shit could not be more out in front of your face, and you be like, are the girls fighting or is this bullshit? We've been dealing with these motherfuckers for a long ass time. I don't know if you ever watched The Apprentice. I'm gonna say it, unwatchable horseshit. Was only even remotely entertaining because it stayed on TV. And so this is sort of a similar vibe. Like the reason we're talking about it is because these fucking assholes have thrust themselves into this position. You know what I'm expecting? Them both to say this isn't what I asked for and try to quit. That's what I expect. Like I'm a competitive person. You know what I mean? Like I want to win at like everything I do, right? And I see them as easy marks. Oh, they'll bluff all day. They never have it. So I think this fight is a ruse. I think that what they're doing is they know that the budget bill is gonna fail and it's gonna have to be renegotiated and that they're not gonna get the cuts they want. And ultimately, I want to keep pointing this out. There are Republicans that voted against this bill because it didn't have big enough cuts. And they want to cut more money out of Medicare, Medicaid, and SNAP and give it to billionaires. Okay? And I think this fight is a ruse to kind of lull you to sleep. Oh, they're going to break up. Oh, the budget bill's not going to pass. Right. And what do you think we're headed for? A fucking finance. We are absolutely motherfucking doomed financially. What financial market is going to invest in us? We're absolutely trash. The hard reality is I'm going to say this every fucking day. There's a reason nobody watches my shit anymore is because that motherfucker is consistent. He says the same shit every day. Hey, democracy's only as good as it holds. So far, it's holding. This just means that the Republican Party's going to die. Look at these elections. They're getting their asses handed to them 70-30. I thought we were deeply politically divided. That's not deeply politically divided anymore. That's decided. I've sat here and told you progressive policy wins fucking elections. Democrats are winning in places that they haven't won in 50 fucking years. Hey, the Republican Party is going to die. MAGA is going to try to take its ball and go home, and that's all the money for the right. Okay? And then it's going to be a bunch of semi normal, but just still not quite functioning adults on the right. I don't have to name those people because there's so fucking few of them, and who really knows is going to survive, right? And then when you look at Democrats, you have to understand the Democrats are still bowing down to the same fucking people. They're still beholden to these fucking billionaires. Kamala Harris, it is rumored. And so one of the things I don't do, especially when I'm talking about a woman, is spread lies and discontent. I am calling a rumor a rumor. There is a rumor during the election, and it's that Kamala Harris was seeking the advice of billionaires instead of the working class. I'm just going to leave that. There's that rumor there. And that just lets me know I'm right. I hate to say that. I don't like being wrong, but like, hey, we need an American Socialist Party. I will be the founder. I will lay on the sword. I am not seeking public office. I'm also in good health. This means I live long, healthy life. I am always here to be accountable, but I'm not doing this so that I can get into power because he who seeketh the crown cannot hold it. I'm just saying if you want to be in fucking power, it doesn't mean that you can just set the crown down and be like the good ruler. Remember how there's no fucking ethical billionaires? There's also not a single fucking person in power that sought that shit that's like a good guy. And again, you're supposed to be nominated, not decide I want to get into politics. Now, am I going to put myself in a very valid position to be a politician? Yeah, I'm going to get a political science degree because now I'm old, right? And I'm like, what degree do I actually want? Well, not one from Indiana or Purdue University. Now that you've decided to step on people's freedom of speech, it won't be from either one of those schools. So I'm looking for a new home, okay, to get my political science degree. And I'll take the LSAT. I don't know that I need to practice law, and here's why. Like, I kind of like what I'm doing. I'm good at it. I make good money. I know that I could probably make more money as a lawyer, probably work less and shit, but I don't golf, and I don't like to wear suits. You know what I'm saying? So, you're supposed to be nominated by your community to run for public office. I know that lots of people that are in positions of power sought that shit, and I'm just letting you know you're not. Your community is supposed to see you fitting a elected official type role and nominate you for such role. See, there's a reason like socialism's good when a Marine's in charge, right? It's because I'm a big fan of formality and fucking practicing what you preach and being fucking consistent and shit. And when I look at what is wrong, what is wrong? Well, they're trying to take away the rights of small population groups and eradicate them, trans people, Donald Trump's obsession with Venezuelan and Salvadoran. And when you look up those population groups, those are some of the smallest in the United States. This coward ass motherfucker has Peter Thiel, who's the CEO of Palantir, funding ICE. And I saw ICE getting in scuffles in Minnesota and shit. And I want that. I want to continue to see that. I want to see communities rising up and standing up for these people that ICE is targeting. Because again, the reason they're targeting these people is because Donald Trump is absolutely okay with genocide. You can write down that I said that. Look at Gaza. Look at Gaza. Look at his response to COVID. And look at his attempt to eradicate trans people with legislation. Look at his attempt to deport a specific race of people and ultimately can't make it happen, so he has them kidnapped and fucking trafficked. And again, every time it's like a Salvadoran or Venezuelan person, like over and over and over. Do you understand what that is called? How about systematic eradication of a race of people? Genocide. So I just want to keep pointing it out every day that I'm here that Donald Trump is a fucking terrible human being, a racist, a sexist, and in practice, he has bodies under his belt. And I just think that our tax money should not go to billionaires, and instead, we should have universal health care, education, income, and housing. I'm pro equality and pro union. In fact, I think as the founder of a political party because I am a syndicalist socialist, meaning it's like I have to put my faith somewhere. Like who do I think would be great elected officials? Like who do I see whole communities seeing as filling that role? Now, of course, every now and then it's a Tim Walz, like a teacher, a football coach, right? But mostly, I want people because I know that no one rises to the occasion, right? There are lots of people out here that would try to sell you on your potential. But the fucking reality is, I hate to be that guy. Most people just get what they get because you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of competency. And that I learned from a Marine Corps sniper. You don't rise to the occasion. You whatever your level of competency is, you are going to fall to that. Could be a humble farmer somewhere in the South. But all that has to happen is you wake up one day and you hear what I'm saying and you're like, I got to live that way too, man. There has to be two of us. There has to be there has to be someone else. You can't like AOC is a rocket ship. You get what I'm saying? And she was a server, right? AOC's a rocket ship, okay? She was a server. She's imperfect. She's going to have imperfect ideas. I am a stupid white kid. I am just going to find the answer to the question. I don't know the answer to the question. I'm just going to go look it up. I'm going to trust science. I'm going to listen to people much fucking smarter than me. They're going to reach out and be like, sir, information. And you're just like, oh, so I should do this? Yes. Thank you. Right? As opposed to this fucking idiot, these fucking idiots that are imperfect. And so, like, you're never going to find a perfect political candidate if we keep doing shit the way we're doing it. I think the people that are the heads of unions make sense because if they aren't going to rise to the occasion and they're just going to fall to their level of competency and their level of competency is improving the livelihoods of the people that are around them, I'll take that. Do you get it now? There's a reason I say join a union. Well, that's what my job is see, yeah, see, it's not about money. That's my job. I'm just going slow. Okay. Here's what happened. I haven't told you this, but I have to tell you this. So I was on active duty in the Marine Corps Infantry, and once my unit was all together and we'd kind of started our workup, they pulled a team. I think it was two. I think they pulled a platoon for the sniper team. Okay, and your boy didn't make it. Okay, they said I'm too big. I'm fine. I'm 6'4". Okay, you got guys under 6 foot? Sure, sure. Okay, but one of the things I seen them do is doing drills Yeah, you like that? I took my wife to Hogwarts, and I bought. I'm not gonna lie, I bought this in the gift shop in the hotel lobby, and was just like, well, we can go home now. Yeah, we can go home now. This thing's awesome. This thing's awesome. Yeah, like it has on the hood. It's badass. Yeah. So, thanks. It's my Gryffindor hoodie, because you know your boy is Gryffindor. Yeah. See how your job is not allowing you to run for public office. So my job as the founder of a political party is to make myself readily available to the public and fundraise. And so my life changed. I wanted to explain what happened and why I was like, I'm gonna do this differently. So I was talking to my wife about like defending yourself and how you don't want to. God, we would get banned off TikTok having this conversation. I was talking to my wife about like defending yourself in your house and how silly it is because they have things like smoke grenades to obscure themselves so they can move freely. They have things like um, let me just break it down for you. Lots of police departments have robots, dogs, robot dogs. Lots of them have dogs. Um, if I would stun and gas the shit out of my house before I entered it. I've I've pit bulls and a German Shepherd. We're never gonna get to like fight in our own house. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna get gassed the shit out of, flashbang the shit out of. Yeah. Okay. It's just because we have animals, and it's just something you have to know. There's no sense in having guns, right? I'm not gonna be able to fucking see, right? And my wife was like, "How do you defend your land without just basically laying down, just looking down the scope of your rifle at something? How do you know what I mean? Like, you got to think about people. There are, just like my wife, if she had a moment where she was like, what is to keep someone from like growing up thick trees on both sides of their property and turning their yard into a fucking thick grove with like one way in, one way out, and what's to keep them from laying, in the upstairs attic in the back, just laying down, looking down the scope of a rifle and just laying there all fucking day. And I was like, oh, panic. Oh, panic. Um, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't lay like that in panic. You would want to roll onto the target. So you'd probably lay on your back for a long time. You might want to have like a mirror set up so that because you do not want to present a hard target. And so now I'm explaining to my wife watching these Marines roll into a shot. So they lay there and they got a guy with binos looking downfield, and he tells you I got straight, 12 o'clock, 700 meters, wearing a burqa, what the fuck ever, dude. Uh, there's three of them, and he's the only one wearing one. And the sniper isn't just laying there looking at the target. He's gonna roll onto the target. So then he's gonna lay his gun and he's gonna slowly roll on into firing position and shoot, right? And that you wouldn't just lay there like that. That's fucking crazy. And it got me really thinking about if I just run to the bank, get a bank account, ITN, establish ourselves at the FEC, then we've put ourselves out there. And my address is all over the fucking internet, which it already fucking is, right? Um, And so in my eyes, it's like I gotta be able to post bail and establish the American Socialist Party. And then it's my job to fucking fundraise. And I'm just refusing to do it clandestine. Like any other way, I'm just gonna do it slow and quiet. That makes sense? One day you're gonna see links on my socials, and you're going to be like, oh, you must, and I'm not going to, and then it's going to come up in conversation. Hey, I noticed you've had the American Socialist Party links for fundraising up for a while. Yeah, how's that doing? Right? And every now and then you hit a noticeable benchmark. You know, your 5, 10, 15, 20,000 marks. By the time you get to like $100,000, that's a local campaign. And again, I think it's gonna take someone, hopefully it's someone that understands socialism even better than I do, that has more credibility than I do, that has the time and energy, isn't in it for the money. This is about what I can give, not about what I can get. That's how I approach coaching. I don't think about what I could make coaching. I think about what can I give, right? So when I build the American Socialist Party and I say, look, I'll fall on the sword. I'll say, who better? Who better that makes themselves more available? You won't, I don't think you'll find like a better person. And I don't care about the money, and I'm not doing it for the money. And the reason I'm going slow is because ultimately I'm putting up the money first so that nobody looks at the situation and says that was a grift. Nope. In fact, he moved incredibly fucking slow. I rolled onto the target. I didn't just sit there from moment one in a panic trying to defend my house because I just went out and did all the shit first. No, you got to move fucking slow because you got to make sure these idiots aren't getting their way, right? And so since I had that conversation with my wife where I was talking about you wouldn't just sleep on a target. Like that's stupid, Taylor. You would you'd sleep you'd sleep near your post and roll onto the target and roll real fucking slow onto the target so you're not seen, right? And then I realized like I'm making myself an easy target. I'm constantly talking about going to protests. And when I'm there, I catch myself looking over my shoulder and shit. That's how you know you're doing it wrong. Is you're like I'm not being inobvious. There's a reason we didn't just go out and throw money at the American Socialist Party, and I'm waiting until I get paid this month. I was gonna do it last month. I didn't make as much last month as I thought I would, but this month I made like a good paycheck. So I'll have $1,000 that if I ultimately lose it, I'm not gonna lose my house. I don't know about y'all, but I just don't shit cash, and I'm not asking anybody for money. Once once I get the American Socialist Party, once I get that shit set up, you can put your money there. I'm not I'm not touching that shit. That shit's going to pay for people's political campaigns. And we're raising money hoping to attract a candidate who's qualified and motivated and doesn't have the money. So for the record, one of the things that is can't be required to be a socialist is that you are made of money. How could you be a capitalist and call yourself a socialist? Like the fortunate part about my job that I fortunately have right now is that I am anti-capitalist. I am a socialist, and that is politically, socially, and economically. I am a firm believer in the socialist theory of economics, which says rent, taxes, and interest are derivative of your labor, and they should be eliminated. No taxation without representation, right? I just think that we're overtaxed and that all of our taxes go to billionaires, and that the reason that we're overtaxed is because they don't want us. to protect ourselves. They want you to be vulnerable and they want to be able to kidnap you off the street at any time and they will jail their political opponents and they will turn you into slave labor and that's if you let them. And I think the Democrats would push you in front of them. And so there's a reason that I don't call myself a Democrat, and it's because I think that they would sacrifice the American people for the status quo, and I think we need great change. I think we're in a time where we need great change. I think that the cost of healthcare is too high. I don't want to live in a country where people can just take other people's healthcare away. I want to make it an inalienable right. I think you need politicians that are like, no, Nestle, water is not a commodity. Water is a human right. Hmm. Zeke, think about it like this. Sometimes they won't let you buy a house. Depends on who the lender is, but they won't let you buy a house if the mortgage payment is going to be more than 30% of what you make. So think about that. Zeke, think about this. Federal minimum wage is $7 or whatever, right? What do we say? Seven and a quarter? Jesus Christ. It's $1,160 a month before taxes. Okay. Yeah, but they're starting to get unmasked and starting to get in fisticuffs. And super white Minneapolis is where it started. And I'm telling you, once it starts, once the country wakes up and realizes a predominantly white community in Minneapolis beat the shit out of ICE officers and FBI agents and local police, hmm and push them out of their neighborhood. But yeah, so at federal minimum wage, 1160 before taxes, and then they can only charge you 30%. That means that your rent, if federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, then your rent should be capped at 348 a month. It should be capped at even less than that if you consider what their pay after taxes is. So understand there's a lot of people out here that are okay with people being broke and suffering, and I am not one of those people. I we can everyone can have universal health care, education, income, and housing. All you have to do is federally legalize cannabis. hmm And we don't have an export. We don't have a good cash crop. Americans are lazy, and a lot of us do drugs. And if you federally legalize cannabis and everybody can fucking grow it, um, the tax collected alone in each state would pay for universal health care, education, income, and housing. hmm Hmm. hmm So think about that. I never talked to someone paying 350 a month in rent. I don't think I ever paid 350 in rent. I think 450 was the lowest I ever personally paid in rent for a 3 bedroom apartment. And then what I'm gonna do, by the way, yeah, we're talking about 350 a month is how much your rent should be with a 725 minimum wage. And if we're not gonna use the same stipulations to buy a house that we are to rent an apartment, you know who my enemy looks like? Cardone, Grant Cardone. He's a fucking landlord, right? Donald Trump, he's a fucking landlord. You want to talk about shitty landlord stories? I got one. I got one of all time. I got I lived in an apartment for most of a year on the bottom floor. Okay. Now for most people really want the bottom floor. So I lived on the bottom floor of a 4-story apartment for a year here in Indianapolis. And I came home from work one day and there was water dripping off my TV stand coming from above. And it, in fact, was the air conditioning unit on top of the building was leaking down the walls, all 4 floors, and pooling in my apartment. Hmm. So I got all my shit and I got the fuck out. Okay. Like a couple months early. And I paid my rent and they charged me a month's rent for abandoning the premises. And it went on my credit. So I want to make sure I say, fuck a landlord. I paid the contract out in full. My apartment flooded, no fault of my own. That was the rooftop unit. I got all my shit out and moved out and paid the lease in full. Here's all the money I owe you. I'm getting out early. For the record, that you want to talk about a wild time in my life? You want to talk about a wild time in my life? My apartment flooded, no fault of my own. I moved out because, long story short, my mom's childhood friend had a house, 16th and Downey, on the Lower East Side, and was like, "Hey, will you go house sit?" And so I moved out of a flooded apartment, paid the fucking lease off, and moved into a house that I house sat for free. I stayed there for a year. I just realized that while I was telling you this story. So that person, I won't say her name. She was my mom's childhood best friend. She told me not to worry about rent. All you got to worry about is your bills, like whatever bills you create. It was like a cell phone and cable, right? And then our food. And she left most of her shit in the house. And it was kind of an awkward situation where I never really felt like I lived there. So I just kept my stuff mostly in boxes. Yeah, I lived out of boxes for a couple years anyway. So, long story short, I got a bill in my name for the first time, and it said I owed like $1,400 for the light bill. And I called my mom mostly to be like, can you believe this person put the lights in my name, didn't pay the bill for months, and then now I'm this is the bill that I get, and it's for months of months of service, and my mom paid it. So for the record, my mom paid the bill, which pissed me off even further because it was like that wasn't why I was telling you this. I was saying like I didn't call and put the bill in my name. How the fuck did she put that bill in my name? So my mom paid it, and we were gonna move out, and we had this freak storm, and it fucked up the sewer system, and I'm dead ass. I could hear it coming. This is a woman like she like it's like she stabbed you in the back, right? And you're like, that's so fucking scumbaggy. Yep. And I was like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And I was in the basement one day doing laundry. Okay. And for the record, wasn't running the washer. So I know people will be looking for how can I blame this on Jared? Because this is what my wife does. But I was actually running the dryer. I wasn't actually running the washer. And I was actually emptying the washer or the dryer of dry clothes. And I heard this sort of gurgling. And there's a drain below me with like a plastic cover. You know what I'm talking about? And I could hear gurgling, and I had never heard it. And when I say gurgling, I mean like from the bowels of the sewers of Indianapolis. And I could hear a whooshing. What the fuck is that noise? And I called my now wife and was like, oh my God, we have got to get our shit out of here and move the fuck out of this place. And we rented a house up the road, 38th and Emerson. We lived across the street from Mount Zion Church for a year. Uh, so I'm pulling shit out. And keep in mind, like I said, I didn't unpack because we were kind of in someone else's house and they left all this shit in. Uh, we literally got everything out, and we were getting out. The last thing we got out was this treadmill sitting across from me. We're carrying the treadmill up the stairs, and the water's chasing us up the stairs. Flooded out her whole fucking house. And the thing about it was he could have noped out of that situation fucking faster. It flooded. I shut the door and locked it when I left, and it stopped the flow of water outside. And I was like, she deserves this. She did this herself. And yep. He said, Bob said that happens to you too. It's always my fault first. Yeah. Oh yeah. My wife always looking for the hole in my story and be like, what was your fault? And you're like, bitch. But yeah, yeah, my wife will play devil's advocate because she says you're right so often that outright agreeing with you all the time is boring. So playing devil's advocate is at least entertaining. Yeah. But anyway, so literally, for the record, I'm not religious, and that woman is crazily religious. Hmm. Don't ain't there something in the Bible about don't spite your nose? No, don't cut your nose to spite your face. Hmm. We were great. My wife and I were great. We hosted game nights. People came over. She hilarious. Yeah. I have to coach my wife to we're gonna have a conversation, and you're not allowed to play the devil's advocate. Why? I want to get this out. I don't want to have a fucking argument. I want to make sure you understand this is our position. And her be like, okay. And I'm not complaining. She is right. If she did just oh yeah, I heard that. Oh yeah, I agree with you. If she just did that every time I fucking spoke, that would be fucking annoying. So, she chooses to play the devil's advocate. So for the record, I remember this as we were getting our shit out of this woman's house as it's flooding, and I like the floodwaters are like coming above her stairs. It's like now on the first floor of her house, and I shut the door and locked it, and I noticed, oh, she has like, of course she has like the storm trim, right? So Taylor, it stopped the flow of water to the outside of the house, like this door is gonna hold. And my wife looked at me and she's like, "You should open the door, Jared." And I'm like, "What if I don't? What if I just leave it closed? I wouldn't hate for her to get all her shit stolen." Because that was part of the problem, is that she, I guess, stopped by and the door was unlocked and we weren't there. Um, but yeah, yeah. And she had wood floors. When I left, her laundry basket was floating. Anyway, so we moved into this other house, and it was a concrete slab with no basement, so we can't flood this one. Um, and again, that wasn't our fault. We didn't do anything wrong. I'm dead ass. I was in the basement getting laundry out of the dryer, and I heard the gurgle and was like, "Did what?" And then I heard this whooshing sound, and you were like, "What the fuck is that fucking noise?" And then you could just tell water's coming, a lot of water's coming. hmm There absolutely nothing you could do about that. hmm And I obviously wasn't the only one that had to happen. But yeah, to get all your shit out, and we didn't lose anything to that. We didn't lose stuff. We didn't throw away a bunch of clothes and shit. No, we got all our shit out, moved into another house. We hosted less parties because we were in like a quieter neighborhood. Remember when I lived at 16th and Downey, that's where the meth lab was, next to that house. You guys remember that story? Jesus from the bowels of Indiana took mom out. hmm Yep. I used to smoke cigarettes and every now and then smoke a little Ripple with a neighbor when I lived at 16th and Downey. His name was Dave. He was a nice guy. Uh, he didn't tell me that his son had a full blown meth lab in the basement. And there was a break in across the street, and the person like broke into the house with the alarm going off and stole someone's like underwear and shit. Like a woman stole bras and panties and sweats and shit and just like carry left out the window she crawled in. And I watched her walk down the street and I was just like, obviously, she just broke into that house. And then I saw four or five a police car and four or five black SUVs pull onto Downey, and I was like, "Oh, they're gonna get her ass." Now the cops stopped, and he did arrest that girl. So hell a timing. But those fucking SUVs came barreling at me, and I thought your boy thought he was gonna die. Oh, I was like, oh, they're like ramping off of that guy's yard right into my face here, and they turned a house early, and they like, oh, they fucked up the neighbor's yard and drove an SUV right through the front of someone's house. The neighbor, like there was fucking siding flying everywhere. I'm just standing on the porch smoking a cigarette, like, what is in this shit? And I look over, and the guy like gets out and walks right up to me, point a badge in my face, FBI, and I'm like, holy fuck, what's going on? And the guy was like, do you know your neighbor? And I'm like, yeah, Dave, we just smoke cigarettes together. What's up? And he's like, do you know he's got a son? And I was like, shut the fuck up. He has a son. Yeah, he's got like a full blown meth lab in the basement, posting pictures and video on the internet. And I'm like, Oh, he was just fucking going live on the internet showing off a meth lab. He's like, yeah, I guess. Like, okay. And they arrested them both. And I saw them both walk across the yard and was just like, I mean, we got to get the fuck out of Downey. I mean, fortunately, that fucking, again, I'm not religious, but it's like, now that I think about it, that's like three really traumatic, well, two traumatic things in a row. She's a side character on Breaking Bad. Yeah. Do you ever watch a show? What were you smoking? That's what I said. Like, what's in this fucking cigarette? Camel Crush, silver. hmm The black box with blue on it. The ones that it's a light cigarette if you don't pop the little bubble and then you pop the bulb and it. What's crazy is I quit smoking cold turkey fucking years ago. Okay. What's crazy is I quit smoking cold turkey years ago. Um, and my buddy from the my friend from the Marine Corps, I don't know what to call him. He's not my best friend. I mean, I guess he's my best friend. But a guy I was really good friends with while I was on active duty in the Marine Corps. My friend from when I was on active duty. That sounds so fucking stupid. My Marine friend? Fuck, I don't know. Albert? Al? We'll just call him Al. Al smokes Camel Crush. And basically, I didn't know this until I got there. I mean, he just asked me if I want to draft vintage cube all weekend. I was like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to do that? He didn't tell me, will you stay near the table while I go take breaks and go try to get other people to play? Oh, so I'm fucking working. Now, understand, I'm playing for like 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm working for 15. And then the next fucking draft starts. So your brain don't see it as work. But I was kind of watching over his shit while he would go to the bathroom, go smoke a cigarette. So then I'm taking breaks and I'm bumming cigarettes off him and I'm smoking cigarettes. And it mostly is that was the only way to get air, to get out of the fucking game hall, right? Otherwise, you just stand there and wait till the fucking alarm clock goes off. Camel Ice my way to go. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I told y'all this. So I have now multiple close friends of mine that are going to be at Magic the Gathering competitive events in the future. And I'm a big fan of do what makes you happiest, right? Like whatever the fuck that is, you should do that as often as possible. I would love to coach football. I would love to coach football. Um, I'm not going to give up my job. What I'm doing, it flies the same direction as what I do here. I try to get people to stop paying interest for a living. It pays well, very well. Like last month was a five-figure month for me personally after taxes. So I'm not going to give up that job to get into coaching. And I want to be where people that I care about are. And while the Magic community is predominantly white, it is diverse. and I want to obviously encourage diversity. Um, but what this means is a change of plans. I think that my socialist shit looks a lot, feels a lot, is a lot more cohesive with the very inclusive nature of the Magic the Gathering, the community. That may hope I'm making sense. And I'm a competitive person. I don't like to do things casually because when there are no rules, people do things they know are not legal, and it's just like it's not competitive, so I can't really say anything. Does that make sense? And that's just how people are. Like there are people that will like have a hobby, and when they know that it's not a competitive environment, they will kind of cheat the rules. I wouldn't say cheat is loaded. Cheat is loaded. But you get what I'm saying. I think it also helps the American Socialist Party grow and find candidates, right? Because who are Magic players after all? The autistic members of your community? Hmm. As an autist? Um, I'm just kidding. But yeah, a lot of people have come along and said, Jared, how can I get involved? And we're gonna keep saying, hey, boycott, protest, strike, get rid of Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter. Try to shop locally, spend your money locally, stay off Amazon. Your house belongs to me. Do not give in to your oppressors. Do not go seek violence. That's one of the things that I'm starting to see is people get like antsy. I want this to be a violent revolution. You can have revolution without violence. There will be violence. That's what I'm trying to get at. And you don't want to be the instigator. And also, since I'm telling you to get off of Twitter and Facebook, it's like, where am I supposed to go? I would recommend Reddit, and I just recommend a few um, subreddits. Something is wrong 2024, R50501, Protest Finder USA, just to name a few. Also, if you've got the stomach for it, suppress news. What you'll notice if you look at suppress news, the media is fully suppressing anything that says free Palestine or Slava Ukraine. And I want to make sure I use my platform and say both. Jobless claims highest in 8 months. Trump's getting rid of the Tesla that Elon gave him. Oh my God, Cece, the level of petty. I am for this. I am for this. I need this kind of shit. I also need it to not be the cover for this budget bill that they're trying to pass. And remember, fighting with Donald Trump did not help Elon Musk. I want to make sure we say this. Elon Musk is fucking with Donald Trump to his own demise. Okay? I want to make sure we understand. Tesla stock fell 8%. Guys, Elon's fucking tussling with the president of the United States. So again, this isn't to his advantage. That's why I think if it we you obviously can't give a Nazi a redemption arc, but but you could encourage him to divulge more. Like what else you got, big guy? Right? And you could have wrote this story. Yeah, exactly. Zeke, you got him. Gabby said, "Do you really think they're fighting?" So you got to remember they're lovers. And so I think they stopped fucking when Elon moved out of the White House. I mean, you asked. You're gonna get. I'm never gonna hide how I really feel. I think Elon and Donald Trump are lovers. I think they stopped having a sexual relationship when Elon moved out of the White House, and it's been all uphill since. And yesterday is when it just spilled over. Oh, there's plenty of people that are like, hold the fucking phone. Did you just say you feel like Elon and Donald are in a romantic relationship? Oh, yeah. They were fucking the shit out of each other. Literally, because one of them can't hold their bladder and the other one can't hold their pooping. But yeah, I'm dead serious. They're lovers, like old school gay. Uh-huh. Yep. And so they stopped having sex back in the day, or a couple months ago, and it's just been uphill since. And then it kind of boiled over. That was a lovers' quarrel. I don't know. I don't know what y'all saw. I don't know what y'all saw, but I saw a lovers' quarrel. I saw two people that want to be together but can't. They're not good for each other, but they can't fucking stop being around each other. They're lovers. They're old school gay lovers. Yeah. And they're scorned and they're super angry, but they can't be together. And that's their like that's why they're upset is because their love is just shunned. Nobody wants to see them together and happy. And they tried a lot, but it's over, Don. And they don't want to let that go. I was hungry before the show started and I'm not hungry anymore. If that lets everyone else know where I got us. Zeke said he spit out his drink. See, I am noticed I'm not hungry anymore. But yeah, yeah. New York recount has them both freaking out. Well, I'd be freaking out too, S&M, if I fucked up an election so bad that there is a small community, Rockland, New York. I want to say like 700 votes. 30% of that community is people of color, and somehow not a single vote for Kamala Harris. What, you thought you was going to get away with that glaring of an error? People watched, people watch mention their age will keep you updated and never watch regular news. Yeah, I don't think it's, I mean, there's a reason they're acting all weird all the time because they're old. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Elon Musk gave Donald Trump a car. He literally drove. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I need Elon to take it a step further. I need Donald to take it a step further. Otherwise, I think it's just a ruse. It's just a fake lovers quarrel. So that's where I am on this. Unless it continues to escalate today, I need, s- I need, I need, I need it in my veins. Okay. Yeah, they're having withdrawals. Yeah. Here's an interesting story. President Donald Trump's administration on Thursday imposed sanctions on four judges at the International Criminal Court, an unprecedented retaliation over the War Tribunal's issuance of an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and a past decision to open a case into alleged war crimes by U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Washington designated Salome Balungi Bassa of Uganda, Lutz del Carmen Ibanez Carranza of Peru, Ryan Adelaide Sophie Alapini Gansu of Benin, and Betty Hohler of Slovenia, according to a statement from U.S. Secretary Marco Rubio. As ICC judges, these four individuals are actively engaged in the ICC's illegitimate basis actions targeting America or our close ally, Israel. The ICC is politicized and falsely claims unfettered discretion to investigate, charge, and prosecute nationals of the United States and our allies. The ICC slammed the move, saying it was an attempt to undermine the independence of an international judicial institution that provides hope and justice to millions of victims of unimaginable atrocities. Both judges Bassa and Ibanez Carranza have been on the ICC bench since 2018. In 2020, they were involved in an appeals chamber decision that allowed the ICC prosecutor to open a formal investigation into alleged war crimes by American troops in Afghanistan. This just deepens the animosity between this administration and the court, but that also is foreshadowing, right? This is foreshadowing, right? I hope I look at my chat and they're like, "Yup." Yeah. So let everybody acknowledge that's foreshadowing. This administration targeting the ICC is foreshadowing. Remember, isn't Donald Trump supposed to go to The Hague? Remember, Mark Root told Donald Trump Should check out the Hague in June. The Netherlands is beautiful in the summer, Don. Yeah, I think he will. I think there's a reason you invite him is because you think he'll actually take you up on that because he's that kind of fucking person. Mm-hmm. Yup. All right, hey, love and appreciate y'all. Have a fantastic day.